everyone, and welcome back to another video. For today I'm going to be continuing the folio for the Lapbook, and we're going to be finishing the first folio. I'm going to start out by increasing the spine a bit of the last flap because it was a bit too small. So I'm going to use my scoreboard to do that. I then want to reinforce it a little bit, so I'm going to use my Tim Holtz washi tape and also some art glitter glue to glue down two strips next to each other on both of the sides. I'm then going to re-score the score lines to make sure that they are scored properly. I'm then going to cut out a piece of paper that will fit the panel. I'm then going to ink around the edges using some vintage photo and ground espresso. I'm going to sew around 3 of the edges because I want to turn it into a pocket, but then I realized that I liked the other side of the paper better, so I decided to use the other side instead. I am going over the stitching with my vintage photo again, just to because the backing of the stitching always makes these white little holes and I don't want to see that white. And then I'm going to attach it to the flap, but first I'm going to use my corner of my circle punch to create a half circle, like an opening for the envelope. Or not envelope, pocket I mean, sorry. Then of course you will still see some of the white, so I am going to cover up just a tiny bit in the inside so that you won't be seeing that. And I'm going to use this red piece of paper for it. And I'm going to glue it down with some glue stick. Then I'm going to add this jumbo tag. I did not film the process of this, it's just a big tag. I rounded the corners and I added a tab. Then for the other side I'm also going to cover it, and I decide to turn it into a pocket as well, because you can never have too many pockets. And I decide to create a tab for it, or like a folio type of thing. And I'm going to use my corner punch, or notch punch I should say, and then I'm going to cut off the excess to create the tab. I then also want to cover the inside because I made the tab. You will see some of the white, and I'm going to use this blue wrapping paper that I saved up from one of my Instagram hauls. There was a book or something like that wrapped in. So I'm going to cut it to size and then I'm going to stick it down. I then decided I didn't want the tab, but I wanted a reverted opening. So I am going to do the same exact step. I'm going to use the notch punch again. I want it in the middle though, but I'm going to create an opening for a pocket instead. So I will do the same exact thing. I will punch it twice. And this creates a tab again, but instead of cutting the top and the bottom, I'm going to cut out the middle part, so the tab part, and that creates this kind of opening. It wasn't in the middle, so I'm going to adjust it a bit by making it bigger. And then I'm going to ink around the edges, and I'm also going to do some sewing. And once I'm happy, I'm going to stick it down with some double-sided tape. I then want to add some interest to the blue paper, but I'm not sure if I want to use my red ink Chianti or my fallen leaves. So I'm going to test it out on a piece of the same paper to see what I like best. And I decided I like the Chianti better, so that's what I'm going to use. You don't really see it on the video that well, but in real life you do see it better. And this is just to create some interest because we're going to stuff this pocket with letters and such. So you won't be seeing a lot of it anyway. It's just that when you take stuff out that you still see something happening. And there you can see that up close you see it way better. I then took 2 vintage airmail envelopes and cut out the strips. I glued them together because I want to turn these into a border, and I'm going to ink around the edges with some vintage photo. Then I'm going back to the other side and I'm going to create a pocket. I'm going to make the same opening as I did before with the notch punch, and I'm also inking around the edges again. I could add some sewing to this pocket, but I just honestly totally forgot, so I'm going to glue it down without any sewing. I'm then going to look through these journal cards, and these are from the Elizabeth Craft Design Reminiscence Book 7, and I'm going to pick out 2 that I want to put in the pocket, and these can serve as journal cards. I'm going to ink around the edges on both of the sides. then going to add one of the Tim Holtz stamp stickers. These are from the new collection. And I'm also going to add some of the cello tape. And then I'm going to add this strip, which is also from the Elizabeth Craft Design book. I then want to play with some fabric, and this is actually from a bag that I got at Duoding, and I am going to do some painting on it because I want to add a red and blue stripe. So I'm going to take out some masking tape to mask out the stripe that I want to paint. I'm then going to use some Deco Art Americana in the colors Tuscan Red and Ultramarine Blue. And this piece of the fabric is actually the top part of the bag, and I just cut out a square. I'm drying each of the stripes with my heat gun. And I really like how it turned out. It's far from perfect. Some parts leaked through the tape, but honestly, I don't mind that look at all. I am going to add some stamping through the pocket, but as well as on the fabric. And I did some sewing around the edges as well, and it's a bit of a messy sewing because I like that look. I'm going to use the VersaFine Claire Fallen Leaves to do the stamping. And I really like how faded the stamp looks. And the impression that I wanted to create was as if this was from a mail bag. I'm then going to stick it down to the page sideways to create another pocket. So I'm not gluing down the top part. I am then going to add one of the vintage photos from my printable kit. These you can find on my Ko-fi, and I decided to add this photo of the mailman. And I'm also going to add this letter, which is a handwritten letter, a vintage one. I'm going to age it up just a bit with some vintage photo on the creases and on the borders. I'm also going to fold it a bit different so that it fits the pocket better. I then want to stuff this pocket with something, so I'm going to look for something that I can put inside, and I decide to just make a tag or a journal card from a piece of paper from the Elizabeth Craft Design Reminiscence book. I'm going to cut it to size. I'm going to back it with this printable paper, and this is from I can't remember. I think it's Love Junk Journals, Tracy Fox. Yeah, I think so, yeah. So I'm going to stick it down to create a writing space on the back. And once I've cut it out, I'm also going to ink the edges. then going to add a tab to it, and as you can see my camera sort of moved. I didn't really notice until later, so I'm sorry about that. Luckily you could still see what I was doing. I'm going to cut it to the size that I want. This is also, by the way, the craft cardstock from Tim Holtz. I thought it was a bit too wide, so I end up cutting off a small piece and re-rounding the corners. And I'm using the smallest setting of the corner rounder punch. And then I'm going to do some sanding to roughen it up. I'm then going to attach it in the middle, and I'm also going to add an eyelet. And I'm then going to round the corners, but I forgot to round the top corners, and now because the tab is there, it's not really possible anymore. So if you do want to round all the corners, make sure you do that before you add the tab. I'm then going to add another stamp of the Tim Holtz sticker book to the fabric pocket. Then I'm going back to the front of the page, and I thought the letter alone looked a bit boring, so I'm going to add one more of the postal themed vintage pictures that are from my kit, and I'm also going to add one of the real vintage Carte Postale cards, and these are also part of a kit. You can also find these on my Ko-fi as a printable, and these are real vintage ones. And as you can see, they now look a lot more interesting, sticking out of the pocket. I'm then going to add a bit more of the same fabric that I used for the other pocket, and this is actually one of the handles of the bag. And I just cut it to side because I want to use it to create a belly band. I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to use my masking tape to paint a blue and red stripe. Now on this one, it totally went wrong. I tried saving it, but I realized that it wasn't going to work. So I decided to repaint on the other side and just add one of the red stripes. You will see everything now. Yeah, here you can see that I tried saving it, but it was just one hot mess and it didn't look nice at all. So I decided to do it again on the other side, and it looks totally better. I'm going to add a bit of the black stitching on the endings, and then I'm going to do some stamping. And I'm going to be stamping above the red stripe and underneath. And by the way, all of the stamping is with the stamp set from Tim Holtz called Correspondence, and it is CMS 225. I really like how this one turned out, and I'm going to stick it down with some art glitter glue. Of course, we need to make something that goes underneath. You can stuff anything under here. Maybe you have some real vintage letters that you want to put in, or something else, whatever you want. But I'm going to create a tag to go inside. These are from the Tracy Fox kit, and I'm going to glue 2 of them together to create another journal card. I'm also going to add one of the tabs that I made before with the Tim Holtz craft cardstock to add a bit of interest. I'm then going to do some inking around the edges and add the tab as I said before. I then want to do some stamping on the tab, and I'm going to add some numbers. As well as the words US Airmail. I'm then going to attach the flap to the actual folio using some double-sided tape. And with that, the folio is finished. We're now looking at the end result. I hope you enjoyed the process of this folio. I really like how it turned out. I want to thank you all for watching and have a nice day wherever you are. Subscribe for more, turn on the notification bell, hit that like button and comment down below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!